Hey, welcome back, friends. Hope you're having a great day. And this is Gabriel Kevin, and another installment in my suite of tutorials for music, for producing, writing, recording, mastering, mixing, and all that stuff. So today, what I'd like to do is talk about something kind of a little bit different than what we've been talking about. And you can see my screen, and I brought up the folders, and this is a Mac Tower Pro 2012. That's what I use. That's what I use for my Studio One DAW, Digital Audio Workstation. And if you're using Windows, you would have the Windows Explorer, same kind of stuff. And it's broken down the same way with folders and files. So what we want to talk about today is backing up and also file structure. So if you have something other than Studio One, you would have a different file structure, obviously, but the backing up concepts and the process transcends what DAW you're using. So as in most of my tutorials, I talk about concepts, which is independent of DAWs, and I talk about then the technical and the actual things specific to Studio One. So to me, it's always good to, even if you're not using Studio One, it might be beneficial to you to listen to some of the concepts. And then also, if you're trying to make a decision on what kind of DAW to buy or upgrade to or change to, you can see the stuff that's for Studio One. Cool. So let's begin. Backing up is one of the most important things I think you need to do. If you've spent tons of time, a year, months, 2 years on songs, recording, having people come in to record and sing and stuff like that, and you're mixing and doing all that, and you have a system crash or you have a file corrupt or there's a flood or something, whatever, act of God, then you could lose stuff, and that's not good. So you want to back up. So I think most people understand backing up things and also at the same time the importance of it. So let's go from there. Now, what do I do? So because I am a backup freak, so I have one disk drive, 2 terabyte drive that's down there near the Mac. And when I do major changes or a fair amount of changes, and you can do your backups periodically based on what you feel is necessary and how much changes you make over a period of time, I will back it up to that 2 terabyte drive, which is a pretty big drive. The same thing I do is individual stuff, songs and projects, which are mastering sessions in Studio One. I back those up, and I have a memory stick, which is, I think it's a terabyte or 2 terabyte. No, it's not 2 terabyte. I think it's a terabyte memory stick, and it's always in my pocket. I carry it with me all the time. It's with me, no matter where I am. If I have a flight out to California, I'm in Pennsylvania, it's with me. That makes me feel comfortable. Then I also have the same kind of memory stick, another one in a fireproof safe in my house for that purpose. And then I have one more drive that I keep off-site. And if you ever worked in IT or anything like that, it's called off-site backups. And off-site backups are for, again, something, say you had a flood or something, God forbid, and you lost stuff in your house, it's off-site. So I live in Pennsylvania. I have one at a friend's house in New York. And that way I have an off-site backup. Okay, so that's what I do. You can do what you want to do and do the kind of things that you feel, make you feel comfortable that you're not going to lose all the work that you do. Because, when you do this kind of stuff in mixing, it can get intense, and recording and having people come in or whatever you're doing. And you don't want to lose that stuff. So that is the major concept of backing up. If you have other ideas of what you do for backing up, please put it in the comments and let's share that with everybody, because we're a community of artists and producers and mixers and stuff like that, and songwriters. So always add the comments, and always be civil and stuff like that. Okay, so now let's go to Studio One. Now Studio One has a certain file structure, and here it is. I have Studio One Pro, so that creates a Studio One Pro folder. I didn't create that, it gets created when you install Studio One. There's a projects folder, which is the mastering sessions of your songs. There's the song folder, which is the actual songs, the mixing sessions, like behind the screen, the mixing sessions. And if you look at most of my tutorials, you usually see in that view. If you want to see the mastering session, look at my mastering tutorial, and that'll show that and how that works. And then you have demos and tutorials, which I back up this one whole folder, Studio One Pro, way back when I installed. So the demos and tutorials haven't really changed, not that I know of, and so I don't really back them up. Macros, I'm not sure what that does. I think it's internal to Studio One. If anybody knows, put in the comments. I back that up once when I do the whole thing. Presets I back up every time I back up songs and projects because they're my presets. And if you open it up, there's Antares, TuneTrack, Personas, Apple, Isotope. And if you want to know more about my presets, of course, there's a preset tutorial within my mixing. And then I have installer, which is only one time because it's an installer. And then there's sound sets. And sound sets, I'm not sure exactly what it does, but it is something that I back up once, and maybe every 6 months or something, I'll just reback it up in case it changes. I don't think it changes. So, okay, so the main ones I back up are presets, projects, and songs. Do I back up the full song folder? Only the first time, because I have a lot of songs. And a lot of these songs are from the past that I've done on things that before you had the DAWs, DAW, digital audio workstations on computers. So we used to have like Tascam outbound hardware that actually had the disk drives on it, and you did all your recording on that, and you would offload that to a DAT tape, DAT, digital audio tape, and go to mastering house and stuff like that. So I took all these master songs that I had written before many years, and I just put them, I made a song in Studio One for each one of these. Number one, for reference, if I want to go back and hear it. Number two, if I want to maybe update the song and keep it, or maybe three, ideas for a new song that I'll pull from. So I updated this once, but going forward, I only update the first 5, which are the 5 songs that I have out on Spotify, Pandora, and on my channel here. So those get updated, and anytime I make a fair amount of, if I make a plugin, parameter change, I'm not going to back up the whole folder. I will wait till I feel like, oh, I made enough changes, I want to do a backup. And that's your own personal preference, but you have to set that period of backing up based on what you feel. So I do one big backup of the whole thing that was many moons ago onto my 2 terabyte drive. And then when I make a change to Wonderland, and just don't worry about these names, these are original names. Like Gotta here is actually Red Hot. So if I open up, you'll see it's Red Hot. So I just want to make sure you know that these are still the same songs that I'm talking about that are out there. And I'll back up this whole folder. If I make changes to all of them, I'll back them all up, and I'll just replace the ones that are on the drives. So when you go in here, here's the thing. If you open up one of your song folders, okay, you will see your songs, which end in .song, and I have a lot here because some of them I had courses in. I want to preserve that, and then I deleted the courses, so I kept this one. This says Wonderland still with course 4. I had deleted course 4, but this is the same thing if I ever want to reference it. Most of these I'll get rid of eventually, but the main one here is Wonderland song, and this is my tutorial Wonderland song that everybody sees. You guys see when you're looking at my tutorials, because I don't want to ruin my main song. Now these songs are small, 24 megabytes. That takes a second to back up. Okay, so why does it take so long for this whole folder to back up? Because of this media folder here. If you drop that down, there's a ton of WAV files, and I can scroll down, and I can keep scrolling down. It's a lot. And you add up all these WAV files, it gets into gigabytes. And these are used in Studio One. I can't tell you specifically because I didn't build Studio One, but I think I hear lead vocal double. It's the first one, then 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, up to 12. I didn't sing that 12 times, but it could also be that one track, these are all the events, I'm guessing, are on that track. If anybody knows, please put it in the comments. But I would not delete anything out of here. I would leave it alone, but I would back it up because I believe this is the supporting stuff to your song file here. And your song file, I believe, is all the parameters. And I believe that the media file is all the media that's in the song, like the events and everything. So you need both together, is my guess and my assumption. So that media folder in any one of these songs, if you've been doing a lot of tracks and you have a lot of events in them, is going to build and build and build, and you need to back it up. So that's what takes time. So this Wonderland could be a couple to 5 gigabytes because of that media. So if you didn't back up the media, it would take 2 seconds. Okay. So that's that, and part of this is file structure too, and not just backing up. Then you have mix down. You have cache, which is, I think, something that it uses as a folder for bringing things in and taking things out. So, I just let that get backed up with the rest of the stuff. It's very small. Then you have your mix down folder, And this is where it stores your mix downs from when you have your song session open, like I have behind here in my tutorials, and you go up to the top menu and you say, it's the song menu, and you say, drop it down and you say export mix down, and it mixes down your whole song. This is where it puts it. So if you mix down an MP3 file, it'll say MP3. If you mix down a WAV file, it says WAV file. And this is where it actually will put those mix downs that you can come here and grab. Say you want to mix down your song. It's not mastered yet, but mix it down and go play it on some of your references in your car, on your smartphone, and see if you like it in those references outside of, your studio monitors, which is a good idea to do. So that's how you get a mix down, and that's where they're stored. And they're small. It's a WAV file. It's 23 megabyte. Then the master one is your song dash master dot wave. So what's this used for? So when you create a project, which is a mastering session, and you bring Wonderland in from your song session, there has to be a way for it to get from the song session to the mastering session. And what it does is when you import into the mastering session, you say, hey, I want to master Wonderland. So you put Wonderland there, and it's going to say, do you wish to import this? And you say yes, but you have to, because if you don't, it's not going to be there. You can't master it. It will go out, and if your song's not open, it'll actually find the song. It'll open the song. It'll do its own mix down of the song in not real time, in non-real time, which is fine. And then what it'll do, it'll place that mix down that it just did into this folder here, appending the word master to it, and it will appear in your mastering session. Now, you are now in sync between your song session and your mastering session. If you make a change in your song session because you go, oh, I love this mastering, but I want to lower the snare, you go back to your song session, you lower the snare, you have to re-import that back in. And when you get back to the mastering session, it's going to say, hey, I know you made a change. Do you want me to re-import it in? It knows. It's pretty cool. More stuff on the mastering process and all that, please look at the mastering tutorial. So, but this is where it stores it. And this is just bridging the gap between the song session and the mastering session. This is not a mastered file. It's a copy of the mixdown into the mastering session because this is within the song folder. So that's that. So anytime you make major changes to any song, I would re-back up the whole folder. I wouldn't just back up the .song because you may have changed the media files and they have to be in sync. Okay, let's close the song one and let's go to projects. Projects, again, probably better if it said mastering sessions, but projects are mastering sessions. I have two mastering sessions here, two mastering folders. One is an old one that I'm telling myself don't use. It's just an old one. I keep it out there for reference. And the one that I use now is called Angel, and that's where the 5 songs are. So if I open that up, it has the .project, and I have a .tutorial project, again, for my mastering tutorial, which I don't want to mess up my real one. And this whole folder, this whole project folder, is not as big as the songs. I think it's even less than just one song. And maybe it's 1 point something gigabytes. And it takes 15 minutes to back up. So if I make changes to my mastering session, I'll re-back up this whole projects folder. Or I'll just back up actually the Angel part of it because nothing has changed to this one, and they're fairly independent of each other in this structure. So you have your .projects. This one here, 5.5, you won't have that because I created that because I also have Studio One 5.5, and I was messing with that, and that's where all my new stuff is going to go. So cache, again, is just something I think it uses in and out, that it stores stuff that it needs as it's doing its processing. The other one here that's important is the releases. So when you do mastering, it's thinking, okay, you've mastered this stuff, you want to release it to the world, right, of release. And it's not when you create a CD out of the mastering session, because CDs out of the mastering session do not create files, they create CDs, or they create DDP images to create CDs. And look at the mastering and explains all that. But if you want to do a digital release to Spotify, Pandora, or just have a digital release that you want to put on your smartphone and check out your mastering that you've done, or put in your car or your home stereo, which I recommend to do outside of your studio monitors when you do mastering, is where these are stored. So right here, it takes my artist name that I have in the mastering session, takes my mastering project name, puts it here, and every time you do one, it just increments this. Now you can have releases that are all MP3, all WAV files, and if you have WAV files, you can have different resolutions like 44.1 or 48 kilohertz. You can have different bit uh, ratios. You can have like 24-bit or 16-bit, and that's what I do here. So this one here would be my MP3 releases. This one here would be one of my WAV files resolutions, whether it's 24-bit, and then I would do the 16-bit because I just like have everything. And that's what that does. Now, all these other ones, 4 to 8, these are just working sessions, and I'll delete them eventually. So if I make a change just to one song, if you look at 8, I made a change only to Red Hot. I'll do a release so I can just listen to Red Hot. I'm not gonna create all the other ones again. I already did them. So that's the only reason why there's so many here. You probably maybe have 1, 2, or 3, and that's it. Eventually, this will only be 3. But these are your releases. So definitely back up the whole project folder so you can back up the releases. So if something happened, you have a final version of a WAV file of your releases. At least you have that, right? And you can still use that for Spotify and Pandora. So in the end, I back up my projects folder, Angel, which is 1 point something gigabytes, and then each individual song when I make a fair amount of changes to them. That's pretty much it. So you should always do backups. Please put any thoughts or comments into the comments. And if you know some more stuff about this file structure that I am not privy to, please add that in. And again, I also do the presets. So it's my projects, mastering sessions, songs, presets, and periodically. So again, put your comments in. Hopefully this is helpful for you, both in concept and in technical file structure. And if you like this and you like other things, you want to be always informed of new stuff coming out, because I'm constantly putting out new content, both in the music and the literary and my radical I'm just talking fast. I don't want to waste your time. My Radical Cathedral reality show. It's all in all my Everything Gabriel channel, and therefore you can keep up to date. So please subscribe. And please like if you like this, and please share, because I believe we're a community of artists and songwriters and producers, and we should help each other out. So again, please subscribe, please like if you like it, and please share. Awesome. So the last thing is, I hope you have an awesome, beautiful, creative day. Take care. Bye.